It's time to announce a brand new series, Dan-Dans. The show is called Triangle X Squared Circle, the wrestling game retrospective series. See, I've already done the history of SmackDown. The history of WCW video games is drawing to a close, but there are still all these other wrestling games out there that are just waiting to be explored in that in-depth, deep dive history of style that you guys all know and love. And Triangle X Squared Circle will give me the chance to cover these games without being tied down to one series for 5 to 6 months at a time. The ECW games, you got it. WWF Warzone, coming right up. TNA Impact, of course. The first episode of Triangle X Squared Circle is going to drop on June 16th, 2019, which is our WrestleMania, our Super Bowl, our E3. There's plenty more to show off and announce on 6/1/2019, but the first episode of Triangle X Squared Circle is bound to be a fan favorite. But what game should I cover first?
Oh my God! It's SmackDown versus Raw! Sports entertainment will never be the same!
And with that out of the way, they say war never changes. Years, decades, centuries go by, and the one constant amongst the passage of time is that war never changes. I'm here to tell you that's bullshit. Although the end goal remains relatively untouched, the execution of said goal has come a long, long way. Through the days of digitized graphics, to the age of 3D movement, and back to the 2D plane, war has definitely changed. My name is Ian, you're watching 616 Entertainment, and this is my review of Mortal Kombat 11. No need for any cutesy bullshit, let's dive right into it. Mortal Kombat 11 feels great. The characters are generally weightier than they've felt in the past, a feature most obvious when playing with a heavyweight bruiser like Kotal Khan. That's not to say that everyone moves like they're underwater though, quite the opposite. In my experience, Liu Kang and Cassie Cage fly around like they're on strings. The variety and movement speed adds a new layer to every fighter on the roster, and keeps the minute-to-minute gameplay feeling fresh. I think it's fair to say that the Towers of Time are my new favorite feature. Imagine the classic arcade tower, where we bring the fighter of our choosing through a gauntlet of opponents until we reach the end. Classic MK, right? Well, MK11 takes that idea, adds new pieces of custom gear, which we'll talk about later, as a bonus incentive, changes the parameters of each tower every day, every hour sometimes, and adds an assortment of crazy rules to specific fights. We might have missiles raining down on us, there can be waves crashing through the screen to disrupt our combos, anything is possible. You might be saying, this doesn't sound fair. Fear not, Dan-Dans. We have consumables that give us myriad methods of defense against these hazards, against beefed up super opponents, against pretty much any way the AI stacks the deck in their favor. Evening the odds comes down to choosing the right consumable at the right time, which adds a little extra something to each and every tower. Don't get me wrong though, the towers aren't always a pleasant experience. In my first run through with the Towers of Time, one of the parameters I had to deal with was the game blacking out every time I came within striking range of my opponent. Quick question, who thought this was going to be fun? It's not. It's not fun in any way, shape, or form. It's frustrating, and as far as I can tell, there's no consumable to keep this from happening. So while I do love this incentive-based gameplay mode, be forewarned, it can dip deep into this is fucking annoying territory, and at times can feel more like a chore than a challenge. What else is new in the world of Mortal Kombat this time around? Oh, just a little thing called fatal blows. Jesus Christ. These new super moves replace the X-rays we've come to know and love, only they're not meter-based. Fatal blows only become available when the player has just under 30% health left, making them something of a last-ditch effort to secure victory. The animations are, for the most part, extremely creative and absolutely brutal. I mean, I'm not sure what sets some of these moves apart from straight-up fatalities, but hey, I'm not complaining. Several of these animations are extremely long, but I never really found myself getting tired of them to the point where I wished I could skip them. Besides, even if you do get tired of a certain move, that might encourage you to try out another character and run their fatal blow into the ground. While we're on the topic of hardcore violence, fuck it, let's get into fatalities. Guys, they've done it again. Mortal Kombat 11 looks at the bar set by MKX and vaults over that son of a bitch like it was a tripwire. These are, without a shadow of a doubt, the most violent, most creative fatalities the team has put forth yet. A standout for me comes from Noob Saibot.
Fatality.
Are you out of your mind? This is incredible. Let's not stop at fatalities though. The brutality game is strong in MK11. I like some of these more than the fatalities. We've got callbacks to earlier games mixed in with brand new flatliners to keep the action fresh. Brutalities come out of nowhere and end a fight with an impact so sudden, I defy anyone in the room to not mark out.
Fatality.
Death was the only way out.
Jade wins.
Also, a little tip to anyone who hasn't played yet, end a fight with an uppercut and hold triangle. They call this one the classic for a reason.
Brutality.
Through the Nether Realm with you.
Scorpion wins.
I'll probably do a video specifically on the MK11 fatalities and brutalities in the future, so stick around.
Fatality.
Let's talk story mode. Mortal Kombat 11's story mode focuses on time travel. Earthrealm's victory with the assistance of Raiden in Mortal Kombat X apparently shifted the tides too far in the favor of the forces of light, and our new big bad, Kronika, is here to change that. See, Kronika controls time. She's the puppet master pulling the strings. She always has been, and she intends that she always will be. Her plan now is to merge several different universes into one to restore her vision of what the realm should be. I'm not going to spoil the story for you, Dan-Dans. The game is too new for me to do that, but I will say that I really enjoyed the entire playthrough. Certain character deaths took me by surprise, several of the battles between younger and current day versions of the fighters were exhilarating, and where the story comes to a close leaves me with a million questions for whatever the hell Mortal Kombat 12 turns out to be. I will say, though, that I am still bothered by the treatment of certain fighters. It bothered me in Mortal Kombat 9 when Goro and Kentaro both went 0-4 across the story, looking extremely weak, and there's a little bit of that going on here as well. Outside of a few misrepresentations of characters, though, I had a total blast with the way the story unfolded, and there were several Easter eggs and nods to the past that popped me big time. Running through the Towers of Time, completing story mode, defeating the regular arcade ladders, all of these things earn us coins to spend in the Krypt, a staple in the MK franchise dating all the way back to 2002's Deadly Alliance. We've seen different iterations of the Krypt over the years, some great, some not so great, but I've got to say that MK11's Krypt is the end-all be-all. On a recent episode of the Easy Allies show, Frame Trap, YouTuber Maximilian Dude referred to MK11's Krypt as Mortal Kombat Disneyland. And let me tell you, he fucking nailed it. Mortal Kombat, at least for me, is always fueled by nostalgia. And what could possibly pluck the nostalgia strings harder than being able to walk around on the island where MK1 takes place? Having free reign to walk through the Warrior Shrine, to stand atop the pit, which is somehow scarier than ever, to take an elevator down to Goro's lair. Holy shit, guys. Getting the actor who played Shang Tsung in the first Mortal Kombat movie to voice and even lend his likeness to the character is a touch that I don't think any of us could have ever predicted. Nether Realm knocked the design of the Krypt out of the park. There is the microtransaction issue, however. I'm not going to parrot the same lines that every gaming outlet in the world has already spoken. I'm going to offer my genuine take on the matter. And that's that while I find it highly annoying that I can't just choose what I want to unlock, I don't really see the issue with microtransactions at all. I felt the same way about Injustice 2. People complained about being nickel and dimed in Injustice 2, which is an issue I never experienced. Sure, I never unlocked the Kingdom Come Superman chest symbol I wanted, but I also never spent a penny outside of the $59.99 it cost to purchase the base game. The fact of the matter is this: had I kept playing, eventually, I would have unlocked that item. I actually appreciate NetherRealm's games giving me a reason to keep playing, because otherwise, I'd probably move on pretty quickly. I'm known around here as a Mortal Kombat guy, and I am a massive fan, but I like to play all kinds of games. I'm working through Days Gone. I'm playing Cuphead on my Switch. I can't wait to do some damage in the Castlevania Anniversary Collection. What I'm saying is when the Towers of Time give me the option to specifically work for Noob Saibot or Sub-Zero Gear, you're damn right I'm gonna take it. And you can ask me a year from now whether I've spent any money on microtransactions. My answer will always be no. They're not forcing me to spend money, and honestly, I don't feel forced to spend money. I don't play video games online almost ever, so I honestly don't really have much to say about MK11's online modes. I jumped in just to experience it, faced 3 opponents, and I called it a day. The first one I lost, the second I won, and the third was disconnected, and for what reason, I don't know, but I was charged with the loss. I wasn't disconnected from the PlayStation Network, and my internet never went out, so I just got fucked. Back to offline play for me. If you wanted more coverage on that end, I'm not the guy to give it to you, I'm sorry. Last but not least, Dandans, for the first time in MK history, we can build our very own versions of every character on the roster through the brand new Custom Variations feature. I think we all assumed that some sort of character editor would be brought over from Injustice 2, and goodness me were we right on that front. Custom Variations expand on Injustice 2's concept and allows us to not only select our own gear, but change our moveset as well. New pieces of gear, color shaders, taunts, victory poses, entrances, brutalities, fatalities, and everything else are constantly unlocked through leveling up our profile, opening coffins in the Krypt, and toppling the Towers of Time. I want to say that while I do enjoy customizing my favorite fighters, I do wish we had a little more freedom. Injustice 2 gave us a handful of costume options, and then let us choose the color of the costume we'd chosen. Mortal Kombat 11 doesn't let us pick a look and then choose a color. One costume might have 4 or 5 different color schemes, and they're all treated as separate unlockables. This part sucks. I also would have liked to see a little more variety, if I can be so greedy. Choosing Scorpion's spear design is awesome, but I don't give a shit what the weapons in Sub-Zero's waistband look like. Or how about Noob Saibot's Shadow's chest buckle? I will never see this thing in motion. It's one of the 3 things you're allowing me to change on his design? Not a fan, guys. Custom variations are very cool, but there's plenty of room for improvement. What Mortal Kombat 11 does well, it does really well. The replayability meter is jacked way up. Custom variations keep the combat fresh even after the already large roster has run its initial laps, and the Krypt is truly something to behold. Minor annoyances and tedious Towers of Time parameters do cause problems, but overall, it's nothing that tears the game down as a whole. Mortal Kombat 11 is a fantastic addition to the nearly 30-year history of the franchise, and I can't wait to see what else NetherRealm has in store for this title.